Hello and welcome to NewsNight. This is where we speak to major league players in Nigeria's development process and tackle governance as well as ways of designing improvements and their various implications. I am Ladi Akiridoluale. Thanks for being with us. National security challenges facing Nigeria are still on the front burner of discussions, especially with allegations of porous borders leading to the infiltration of the country by undesirable elements who then go on to commit crime as well as spread COVID-19. What's been done to curtail this? NewsNight talks to the Controller General of Immigration, Mohammed Babandede. CJ, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Happy New Year, please.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. Let's begin with the issue of the border closure. The borders were closed, and only at the end of last year, very end of last year, the president ordered them reopened. For the immigration service, would you say the closure had its advantages or it worked to your advantage?
The president had a reason for closing the borders, and the reasons were purely on security matters and trade. What he wanted was to find that trade in terms of mobility of goods and persons are done in a proper way and in line with the international relationship and in line with the ECOWAS free movement of goods and persons. For us as a service, we are key to the closure of border. The whole border operations in terms of patrol and closure was handed over to the Office of the National Security Advisor. The National Office of Security Advisor coordinated during this period. What do we gain, or what sense does it make to NIS? Before the opening of the closure of the borders, we had challenges of the communities.
I know the communities
along the long borders. Sometimes you don't blame them. When British and French created Nigeria and Niger, Nigeria and Benin, the communities were not consulted. And they continue to believe they are the same people. But during the closure, it had made a great impact on those communities to feel that, look, whatever happened, there is now a clear demarcation that even if I speak Hausa or I speak Yoruba, we are different countries. So for us, it's key to control because we know who they are, but they feel they are the same. The form of control was established with the closure of border, and I'm glad it makes a lot of sense. You cannot cross anywhere during that time. There were no opportunities even to cross legally through anywhere. Borders were closed except with clearance, because we had a lot of clearance at Seme borders where aircrafts arrived at Benin Republic. Our citizens had to return home through the land borders, or diplomat had to pass without permission. So the gain of it is that we have established the territory of Nigeria through control. It brought a lot of gain. Secondly, when the borders are open, we have been able to insist in our place, you cannot cross the borders except you pass through recognized port of entry and with travel document. It was painful for many people. They don't want to do it, but compliance is higher now. People are ensuring that they move through the recognized port of entry, and also they travel through recognized with travel document that has been recognized by the ECOWAS. Or if you are a citizen outside the community, you come in with a visa. So for us, it's a great gain. It gave us opportunity to re-establish what is expected of us under ECOWAS protocol. Move freely along the countries involved, but move through a recognized port of entry and also move with the correct document. This is an achievement for us and a great experience.
You talked about it, the major objective of it being security. That was the major reason why the president ordered it. And one can guess that part of that is that the story has been that quite a number of those who create security challenges for the country tend to come in from outside, from some of these neighboring countries or through some of these neighboring countries that you mentioned. Now that the borders have been reopened, is that because agencies or forces like the Immigration Service now believe that they have a handle on that they can now stem that tide of people just flowing in and out, and that's why they felt it was okay for the president to reopen?
I think when we talk about security, we're not only talking about security of persons, we're talking about security of goods.
Right.
Remember, the collapse of Libya had brought a lot of opportunity for criminals and arms to move south of the Sahara. It's a critical area of concern globally. A lot of persons who had possession of arms and ammunition with the collapse of Libyan government, a lot of people have dispersed, and that contributed to the insecurity in the Sahel. That notwithstanding, we believe that the closure of border had given us opportunity to reorganize ourselves better. For immigration, let me give you an example. Today, we are able to install the Migration Information Data Analysis System, which is a system that captures your biometric, it captures your face and your data. Even if you don't have a passport, we can capture your biometric and you will be the same person that we have captured. So today, we are able to establish 24 different locations. It's an achievement within that period. And for that period, we have been able to enhance forward operational bases during closure. We had opened 3 more forward operational. Forward operational bases is to make sure we establish operational bases where we can do patrol outside the border control post. We don't need to wait for people to come and visit us at the border. We need to patrol so that people don't cross illegally. So we have enhanced that. Thirdly, it gives us opportunity to work closer with other agencies. Remember, during the closure time, and even now, there is a patrol going on. Yeah. There is enhanced cooperation under the Office of the National Security Advisor, where immigration, customs, the military, Department of State Services, police are working together to patrol together. This means that even if this system goes away, there is a relationship that has been built, not based on superiority, but based on national interest. I think for us, this is a great achievement.
You earlier on talked about neighboring countries and the fact that some of those who are in those countries don't see themselves as being different from Nigerians. Yes. I mean, if you take Niger, you take Chad, you take Benin Republic, some people in Cameroon, for example. The issue of patrolling the borders, because Nigeria has very long borders. Yeah. And people say, look, it's impossible to do. You can't possibly police every point. Given what has now transpired, where we actually enforced the closure, anybody who came in either did so on a waiver or is illegal. Going forward now with those other countries, are they better appreciative of what Nigeria wanted to do than they were before Nigeria closed the borders?
Let me tell you, when we talk about security, when we talk about smuggling, when we talk about human trafficking, when we talk about human smuggling to our neighbors, they don't appreciate like this time. Nigeria is a key economic factor in the region. When we close our borders, it affected the economy, social life, as long as mobility of all these countries in the region. So when we opened the borders, there was celebration in this country because their economy depended on Nigeria. Yes, right. We also benefit for that mobility. So they know that we can handle. There are some countries that deals their economy based on how to beat Nigerian economy. We're not in a competitive, we're in a cooperation. The idea of establishing the ECOWAS system is for us to benefit from one another, not to kill Nigerian economy, not to transport bad people to Nigeria. So they know very well that we can. I think Nigeria has spoken with a political voice through action. That's why you see greater cooperation from our neighbors. I'm glad in terms of immigration, within the period of closure border, we have received a lot of people who have even left our territory through a lawful path. And those people, we have taken them to court and we have prosecuted them. So it means when we understand that our border in Nigeria, for example, if you take the northern border, right. The real border of Nigeria is in Niger. That's the truth. Because we're having a common area of movement, common area of economy. If I want to go to Niger, what do I require? I need only a passport without a visa. Or I need a ECOWAS travel certificate. Right. But if I leave Niger, I have left a territory of free movement. So it is the responsibility of Niger to make sure our citizens don't leave that territory. Okay. Yes, they are free to enter Niger with a passport without visa, but they should not be allowed to leave Niger to go to Libya without a visa, because we are not in charge of that border. It is an ECOWAS common border, which now they appreciate that we need to protect jointly together. So I think this is key to regional security. And on our part, we have been able to invite all heads of immigration, we started the system, all heads of immigration of the ECOWAS region to meet together, and I'm happy ECOWAS accepted it and established it as a system where we can sit down, discuss with one another. If there are issues, we can talk to one another in the sub-region. This will bring greater cooperation. That incites us to establish a TUGA, an area of a school for development of immigration, where officers at high level could be trained in Nigeria from all the sub-region in French and English. And that will enhance a greater understanding and cooperation. So it is good Nigeria closes its border. It's good Nigeria muzzle up a little bit to show that we are a country, that we care about our security, we care about our economy. That brings a lot of change. Today, tomorrow, when we speak that we want to do it, you will see response.
The immigration service, like its counterparts in customs and the correctional services and so on, people expect a lot from those forces. But then sometimes when heads of the agencies like you have the opportunity, they're able to explain that, look, you can expect a lot, but we don't have everything to give you what you are expecting. So let me ask, in terms of personnel, and it goes back to the question I raised earlier when I talked about the long borders. Do you have enough personnel, in your view, to effectively police our borders?
Yes, I had a story from ordinary citizens who believe that we can line up along the borders and stop people from entering. It is just not possible. No country can do that. We have combined technology with personnel and also with after entry control to solve the problem. Remember, the immigration policy of a country depends on its geography. The geographical situation of a country determines the type of control you have to make. Take UK, for example. United Kingdom is almost an island. So United Kingdom invests more in its ports of entry, Heathrow and Gatwick. You can hardly come through the sea. They invested much in Dover, southeast of London, through the Channel Tunnel. It's okay. But the greatest investment is in the airport and visa. It's only when we give you visa you can able to fly. When you fly, we can take care of you at Heathrow Airport. But the challenge we have is like the US. We have a large land border, like with the Mexican border. However much we try to patrol it, we must take other measures. The measures are, first, visa control. To those who are not members of your immediate neighbor, you must have effective visa control. That's why Mr. President launched a new visa policy 2020. And this visa is biometric. It is online. It is connected with the advanced passenger information system. Once we have you biometrically, we have reduced the threat for you to multiply to different persons in the future. So we have launched the biometric visa. We can see most of the visa real-time online here in Abuja. We can edit it. We can stop it from happening from headquarters. So that is before entry control. That's why it is key for you to invest in that. But in the land borders are key. There are people who will come to our land borders without looking for visa.
Yes,
our neighbors.
very many.
Our neighbors, which of course does not require a visa. So if you invest more in visa, you don't look at investment at the land borders, it will be a great waste because the threat might be coming more from the Sahara. That's why we are able to establish what we call front offices, forward operational bases, away from the border control posts. The land borders are not attractive for mobility. I'm sorry to say that our forefathers saw the importance of unity and cooperation in the sub-region. That's why they say we should move together. But we have not learned to develop the borders like EU. In the EU system, you will see a single railway line that can link all the Schengen area. You will see a good airport system that will link the major capital. You will see highways that links the countries together. Our countries have not done that. It is easier for you to go to France from Nigeria than to go to the capital of Niger. Which is sad. There should be railway connection. There should be highways. If you have these highways, control will be easier. So what is the essence if there is an immigration officer staying in a bushy area? And then my village is close to the same bushy area, I can cross to Nigeria or I can cross to Niger without any highway. What is the attraction? So these are control measures which are necessary for us to invest, that we cannot get everybody at the border. That's why we introduce after entry control. we have introduced the e-migrant registration, which Mr. President launched 2019. The idea is that if we cannot get you with a visa, if we cannot get you at the land border, we can get you after you have entered our territory. That is the e-migrant registration, which so far we have registered more than 250,000 of people in our territory. The law says if you stay more than 90 days, you must register. This year, we want to do a lot in investment in compliance. If you don't register after 90 days, we can remove you. And we will also mandate the person who provides the accommodation for you, whether hotel, house, farm, that you must report any non-Nigerian in your territory who has stayed for a period more than 90 days. If you don't, you pay penalty. So you can see that when we talk about border, we should not look at only the physical border alone. We talk about the abstract border, the visa regime. We talk about the land border or air border where you enter the territory. And we talk about control after entry. Nigeria has to invest in these three because we are a territory geographically that must invest in this. We cannot be like UK, for example. Probably we need to be like America.
One of the problems that the Immigration Service or immigration generally has is what you touched on in the answer to your very first question, which is when you're surrounded by people who look like you, who speak similar languages to those of your own people at the borders or in the border communities. How do you separate, for example, someone who is from Niger but speaks Hausa, as you pointed out, speaks Hausa, has crossed or crosses regularly from Niger to Nigeria, does business in Kano and then goes back to Maradi. How do you control that kind of person's movement, particularly if he is not someone in formal business, supposing he's a cattle herder or he's a camel seller? How does this kind of system you've described capture those people, or do they occasionally still manage to pass?
You know, there is a problem with people who are not professional, but that's why we are professional. I'm glad to say that I know the Hausa dialect of a Nigerian person, and I know the dialect of a Hausa man from Nigeria. I know the dialect of Yoruba person from Benin. I know the dialect of Yoruba person from Benin, even though they are the same people, but the French and English language has separated them. All the dialects have been infiltrated by the second
either the French
European
or the English.
That is one clear. And secondly, the idea is not criminally looked at. I keep saying when we developed the border management strategy, 2019 to 2023, we are not looking at the border as only a crime zone. The way you are talking is as if it is a bad thing people should communicate. No. We looked at the border. I say border is a human rights issue. Border is a commercial issue because it's an area of transacting commerce. Border is a cultural issue. Border is a security issue. But many Nigerians look at only border as a security. When you talk about border, they shout about security. They are the same people. That's why our elders, our forefathers said we must establish a course. They would interact together. The camel you talk about was a major source of transportation.
Yes.
In the sub-region. The cows, they are the major source of money. Before other money comes around, source of money comes to the world. So that relationship should persist, but we should know how to manage it. The managing it is to register them. Once you have them biometrically, that's why we want to establish mobile MIDAS, where we can get anybody, we can take his biometric, whether he's a Nigerian or not Nigerian. It's allowed. We can take the biometrics once you cross the border. Tomorrow, when you submit the same biometric, we know you are the separate person. So I'm sorry to say that we should not look at negative side of border, and we should not look at negative side of migrant. I keep telling people there are even more Nigerians in the sub-region than foreigners in Nigeria. You'll be shocked how many Nigerians are in Niger. Not even the number, but the influence they have in Niger, or the influence they have in Benin, or the influence they have in Ghana, or the number of Nigerian banks in this sub-region. We must look at it in terms of also what will benefit us. We must not look at foreigners as enemies. Anybody who enters Nigeria, whether a Ghanaian or a Nigerian or a Nigerian citizen, and commit offense should be dealt with as a person who committed offense, not because he's a foreigner or he's a Nigerian. So I don't want us to look at it in terms of the foreigners. No, anybody. Anybody. There is no exception to a person who does it. And I'm yet to get good ratio of crime analysis, of number of persons involved in burglary, involved in robbery, involved in thuggery, involved in kidnapping, based on nationality. I've tried to get that, and I'm going to tax a research work to be done. You'll be shocked. The rest is politics. It's the rest is politics. You get the statistic. Even go open source. Look, read the newspapers. Read the number of people who are arrested. How many people are foreigners? But I know that open land borders brings also arms and other things. But we must not consider foreigners as our enemies.
One of the things that has become a challenge, like it has become a challenge to everybody and everything else, is COVID-19. Something coming from outside in, as far as we can tell. But having been in, there's now need, as you put it in an answer to an earlier question, to control the movement of this. If people don't move, COVID-19 doesn't move. It stays in one place. It's only when people move that it moves. Which brings me back to the issue of the control of the various borders. Several protocols have been put in place, and there are accusations here and there of underhand dealings, people buying COVID-19 clearance certificates, people coming in with fake papers and all of that. What's the NIS doing about this, considering that the country is suffering in terms of its economic fortunes and spending a whole lot of money on treating people with COVID-19?
Yes. After September 11, the key concern of the world was security. But now, in 2019, when COVID-19 came in, now we're in 2021, I assure you the concern of the world is security and public health. So I expect globally there might be a condition when we cannot travel until we have the vaccine. There might be another certificate or passport which we must use to travel globally, because we need to immunize ourselves to travel. I have seen that coming, like in Hajj. There is saying that you cannot go to Hajj until you have the vaccine. This is opening up a great issues to come. So borders have to be controlled also, not because of security, but because of public health. As we are scared somebody will drop a bomb, we should be scared of somebody bringing a huge disease that could contaminate the person. Issues to do with the COVID-19 is a public health and is under Ministry of Health, but we work together with them. What do? We have allowed to add condition of entry to be health requirement.
Right.
We have the power, the Controller General has the power, the Minister of Interior has the power to add condition of entry of a person who is not a citizen of Nigeria. To say, when you want to enter Nigeria, you need a visa. We can say now, conditions for you to enter Nigeria requires a COVID-19 fulfillment of the form. Remember, the Presidential Task Force has directed that anybody who wants to enter Nigeria, if you're a citizen of Nigeria or not, you need to complete and pay online a COVID-19 test form.
Yes.
When you arrive, you make the form. It's a condition of entry. So any person who violates that condition is capable of punishment, because the condition of entry has been clearly stated. Now, anybody can be punished. This is help, because we are using immigration to tackle the problem. For the Presidential Task Force has given us 100 names. We are able to find their passport. We have blocked their passport. They cannot reissue that passport. And they cannot travel with it until after 6 months. It's a penalty for them. You cannot travel. Even if you say you have lost the passport, you come to reissue, the system will not allow you to reissue. It will show you that you are one of those people who have been blocked because of lack of COVID-19 tests. And it's a threat to public health. Mr. President has a right to curtail mobility if it is a threat to public health. And he has done that in the Gazette. He has done for COVID-19. Right. So this is our contribution. If the visas are going to be required now, you're applying for visa, we must ask you have a COVID-19 test. It's a requirement condition. We don't know what the future will bring. There's a possibility to say that you cannot do it until you have the vaccine, but let's wait for that time.
Is it possible for me to acquire 2 Nigerian passports?
You can try, but you cannot get it.
There are people who say that they can. That's why I'm asking you, because you're in charge.
We need to try. I'm lucky that I was Assistant Controller General in charge of passport.
I know.
I was a deputy controller general in charge of passport before I became controller general. So I have
Correct.
good experience. Initially, some years ago, people were trying to get 2 passports because of the fingerprint. We used thumb and index. Thumb and index. And
Right.
with this internal support of bad officers, they can use other fingers to try to get. The system allowed them to have the second passport. But when they come to get it reissued, it matches the old and reject them that you have gotten this one. But we have beat the system. We have put 10 fingers now.
Yes.
We are doing 10 fingers. So once you have 10 fingers, you cannot be able to get a new passport once you do the fingers. Can they bypass the fingers? Is the issue. The fingers can be bypassed only if you are over 70. The system allows a person who is over 70 to fingers to be bypassed. It's not because he's an honest man, he's over 70, but because the fingerprints have already deteriorated. I can't accept it. That is the only people who can probably get 2 passports. The second people are children who we cannot capture their passport. We have issues with them with the maternity issues. You find out a small child has a passport, then later the mother will, the quarrel with the father will go and get another passport. But if the names have not been changed, it is difficult to get the second passport because the system will reject it. But if you get a second passport through any of this system because you are too old or somebody has bypassed your fingers, it's an offense that is punishable. But I'm telling you, it is very difficult because we have a central database system. The affix system of confirmation is fingerprint. I can show it to you. We can take your fingerprint now. I can get your data. Passport, just a fingerprint. So there is no way you can have 2 fingerprints. It's not possible. We have even gone further now to deal with people who will say they have lost their passport. With the Minister of Interior, to be honest, in the next few days is going to launch a new passport called a temporary passport. We have people who will travel to America, who will travel to UK or Germany and claim they have lost their passport, and they go to the embassy and come back with a piece of paper called emergency travel certificate.
Yes.
This is advice because they want to beat something. They want to probably beat the security of the host authorities, or they want to beat security in Nigeria because they can give a bad name, another name to pass if they are wanted. Today, we are going to launch, in the next few days, the Minister of Interior will launch a temporary passport. This temporary passport will be issued in line with your biometric data. It is only valid for 1 journey, only 4 pages. You can, once, even if you don't have let's assume you don't have a passport before, which is very difficult. How did you go abroad that you don't have a passport? It's very difficult. Let's assume it happened that you are born abroad, you grew up, you have never passport. No problem. When we capture you, it will be your permanent data. When you come to get the real passport, it will reject unless except it is the same data. So this is a great innovation which will not give opportunity to people to have 2 passports. It's not possible. But there are people who try to get 2 passports, whom we have also beaten. Those people who declared their passport lost. How do they do it? They go and say, look, I have lost my passport. We can't see. The only evidence to get their passport lost is a police report and affidavit. When they come to us, we reissue them that passport as lost. But today we have succeeded by connecting to Interpol I-247. So as it is issued, even during this our fire system, just we had a fire incident a few days ago. We lost that
Thankfully,
connectivity.
nobody was lost.
But we have able to reconnect now. So immediately when your passport is reissued as lost, it goes automatically to the Interpol database of lost and stolen passport. That passport is lost. So all the Interpol countries will get the alert, and the alert will be at their airports. So if you are very proud that you have lost your passport, you hide the passport, and you decide to use it in London, we have many passports seized in the UK. Just recently when we did the connection, once you put it in the system, it will show that it is a lost passport. Why are you traveling with a lost passport? Even if your visa is inside, you're not supposed to declare it lost. You have a visa, 10 years visa for UK, and because you want to beat the system, you said you have lost that passport, you get another passport. So that passport is not cancelled because you want to use it to be traveling. You put that visa in the UK on arrival because you have a visa. UK immigration officer will see it as a system as a lost passport. They will seize it and return it back to you. We have returned many people back. So how is it easy? It's very difficult.
That brings me, of course, to something else. The link between the passport process and COVID. many passport offices, you find a lot of people, hovering around, and because of the process, you find a lot of people who are not actually there for passports, but who are there to assist those who want passports. So, how are you dealing with that now with the advent of COVID, where everybody has to be far away from other people? They have to wear things and they can't do a lot of things that were possible before. How are your passport offices handling the advent of COVID?
You should note that our passport offices are not only in Nigeria. We have almost 50 stations outside the country. And those countries' passport offices have to comply with the host authorities' COVID laws. Recently, we had riot in Frankfurt because we can't operate if the host country said all places closed. We can't issue passport. We have to comply with the COVID rule of the host country's authority. So it's very clear we work under the embassy or high commissions abroad. If UK said all places closed, like our passport office in London is closed, because you cannot have a meeting of 2 to 3 people in London anymore. So the passport office closed. It will be in line with Her Majesty's government decision. In Nigeria, we have given protocol for COVID-19 guideline. People are not allowed to come in large numbers to take passport. We are doing our best to reduce the numbers. We have reduced the workforce to a shift level. We have arranged now, we'll do even appointment system so that you can only come based on appointment, because that's what we're doing in many locations abroad. We'll want people to pay online. We give you appointment, you come and pick the passport. It's the only alternative we have. Some people advocated even we should reissue without capture. I have seen requests that because of COVID-19, we should reissue the passport. I said, no. It is mandatory and under ICAO for you to change your passport after 6 months. So even if you lost your passport, which is 7 months old, we'll have to recapture you. But if it is below 6 months, we can issue without a photograph. So we cannot issue without a photograph. Although we are thinking, because of COVID-19 now, to see how we can allow you to capture online. We have seen the Irish passport system. Yeah. You can reissue Irish passport online. You submit online, you put your picture, you capture it with your Android, and you submit. Because the verification system for the Irish passport is special. Our verification system is fingerprint. So unless we developed a fingerprint online to capture, it is going to be difficult for us. Or unless we convert our office verification system to facial rather than fingerprint, it's very difficult to do it in situ. It has to be in situ. You have to be around to be captured.
I've heard it be said that Nigerian passports are very expensive to produce, and that in fact, the price that people pay to get the Nigerian passport is heavily subsidized because of the features in the Nigerian passport. Is that still the case? And if so, why is that the case?
No, with the new enhanced passport, we have improved the security features of the document. We have given Nigerians a menu of choice that they can get a passport for 10 years. And you can get 64 pages. So larger pages, longer time, will give you value for travel. If you have a passport for 10 years, 64 pages, and you know how much you buy ticket from here to London or from here to Paris, just one journey, you should appreciate this passport is highly subsidized. But I think as a government has a responsibility not to sell for profit, even though the passport system is run under PPP. People don't know that government doesn't put its money in the passport. It is the passport system that takes care of itself and give revenue to government. So it's a PPP system, which is highly commendable, but it requires a lot of improvement. We want to do a lot of innovation. We want to produce a passport fast-tracking system so that you can get your passport quickly. Government gets the money instead of an immigration officer to get the money. We want to create a system where we can have a menu for you to be picked at home with a special passport machine so that you can pay more. Government gets the money, not officers get the money. We want to create a menu where you can have a VIP section, because I've been to the London passport office. You can have a VIP section. You can have coffee. You are welcome with a special menu. You pay more. So we want to create an alternative to make government richer than to tax everybody online.
Expatriate quotas. From time to time, the media talks about expatriate quotas. multinational companies who are supposed to have only a particular level of staff who are non-Nigerians and so on, bring in people hiding under various loopholes in the expatriate quota law. And Nigerians who work in those establishments sometimes pay the price for that, and sometimes they report to you. And then, of course, there's trouble. How far have you gone with minimizing or eliminating that? The abuses of the expatriate quota?
I want Nigerians to know that we give people permit to remain in our country, to either work or to be dependent under 4 conditions. One is the expatriate quota regime, which means it's implementation of the approval of Ministry of Interior. The Ministry of Interior gives expatriate grant to companies, and we implement that grant. The Ministry of Interior will give company A 5 slots, 1 engineer, 1 managing director, and it's our duty to make sure it is occupied by a qualified person and they do the right job. Besides that, we give expatriate quota, we give permit for people to sit and work in this country under free zone. And it is done by NIPSA. NIPSA will give permit and will give them resident permit to reside. Others will be through marriages. And this is a very risky area we are dealing with now. People get permit to remain in this country because of the marriages to any of the spouse. It can be male or female Nigerians. And
why is it risky?
It's risky because many people are doing contractual marriage. We are discovering many. It's cheaper to marry because if you marry Nigerians, you have resident permit to live in Nigeria. And that becomes a business. Instead of you to pay resident permit for $2,000, they arrange marriage. And we arrest so many of them. The minister did approve deportation. So you remain for like 5 years, you don't come to Nigeria. For us, it's big. So how do we minimize the abuse of expatriate quota? I think it starts from the ministry. I commend the Minister of Interior, Rauf Ariboshala, for tightening issues of quota permit to companies. He has introduced a very tight measure, and he has also made it online transparent way. Recently, he has set up a task force to see the companies comply with this expatriate quota. On our part, we need to improve that every expatriate has an understudy so the Nigerian can get job. But I'm telling you, it's very difficult because of the marriage system we're getting now.
NIN is what everybody is talking about now, National Identity Card Number. And the question most people ask is, the most important document that anybody carries around is their passport. Why can't all these other documents be infused into your passport? So that when you have a passport, when you are carrying a Nigerian passport, every other thing is subsumed into your passport, as it is in the case of some other countries. Or basically what I'm asking has to do with the harmonization of the databases to make the work of agencies like yours easier. So you catch someone, the person doesn't have any document and so on, but maybe at some point he'd registered for a driving license or he'd collected some documentation that has to do with a permit, which you issued. That can be used to trace the person. Why, as someone in this position, why is it so difficult, do you think, if it is, to carry out this kind of harmonization to make the work of your agencies easier?
I think we need to commend this administration for making NIN compulsory. NIN, before the coming of this administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, was a card. Nobody's interested in card. And the card was even converted to MasterCard. That's not a MasterCard. The global practice is to have an identity number. So this administration says everybody should have one identity number. And every identity issuing agency should link with it. Every identity issue must link with that NIN number. If you have NIN number, so when we started it, like 3 years ago, I decided that passport must have a NIN number. I had an editorial by newspapers that it was not possible. People said it was not possible. But we started it, and it was a remarkable success. We saw a lot of personalities whose identity is different. They had NIN with different identity, and they had their passport with a different identity. When they come to the issue, it will not go through. Today, we have reconciled identities of many persons who are key. Remember, passport, we don't have more than 10 million biometric data of passport, but they are the data of the elite who are the challenge to the Nigerian economy. They are the bankers, the politicians,
the ones who travel.
Those who travel. They're the people who, they're not ordinary people. So these people had different identity. They had identity in the driver license. They had identity in the bank different. They had identity with the voter's card. So we're able to do that successfully. How did we do it? We have provided link with NIMC directly. In our passport, there is provision for NIN. When we want to launch it last year, Mr. President said, go back and make provision for NIN number. And we did it. It works. We connected. We even allow NIMC to stay in our office premises to provide that service. It is only recently we sent circulars, we gave directives that nobody should come and collect NIN in immigration office except the person will do a passport. It is only for passport purposes we give them that provision. And it is connected. So what the government is doing is not for immigration to have all the data, but all identity holders to have connection with the NIN. So that when law enforcement put your NIN number, they will see that you have a driving license, they will see you have passport, they will see you have voter's card. In short, if we have this identity confirmed, you don't need to get voter's card. You vote with your NIN number because you are only one person. You cannot be multiplied. So I think it's something very good. The government is doing very well.
I have two final questions. The first has to do with the issue of security, arming the agencies, because sometimes in the course of implementing your mandate, you lose your officers to people who are more superior, better armed. And so from time to time, the subject comes up about arming the agencies like immigration and so on better to be able to accomplish their tasks. Would you support that?
We even want to encourage government to allow us to take care of the land borders. Because, look, everywhere in the world, the borders are in the hands of immigration. So if immigration is equipped, if immigration is given additional manpower, we can control the borders on behalf of others. And that's why we are building that technology building that has been completed, where we can be able to see people who intend to come to our territories, people who apply for visa, people who have reached our borders, land, sea, and air, and we can share with all the law enforcement, real-time online. They can respond to it if it is huge. The military can respond if it is a big threat on the land border. The Army, Air Force can respond to it if we see larger people. So we are doing the e-border. We are establishing border patrol bases. We have the rapid response team at the borders. So to us, we should be given the land borders, including air borders. At airport, you will see only immigration officers everywhere in the world. If there is a criminal, others will know through secondary inspection. That's what we are trying to achieve. So investing in immigration, I think, is investing in national security, is investing in national economy, is investing in the social cohesion of our region. So it is good we have good arms, but the arm is not enough. I keep saying something that we should have strong arms at the border. We should be a little bit civil when we come to deal with the services we do internally. And that is how immigration is in many countries where there is hard borders and there are services to be delivered. So I would like to improve the security system to see the rapid response, strong squad at the land borders. I would like to see soft officers, more soft working at the airports and doing services in the country.
We're in 2021 now, at the start of 2021. Where do you see the immigration service being by the time the year ends?
We started with a big challenge. We had a fire incident this January, and we are lucky that all the officers who did the installation have not been burnt by fire. So they're there. They're the one setting up the system again. I want to see by the end of this year, we're going to launch a new passport booklet. By end of this year, we'd like to see effective control of persons who are in a territory. I said to my officers last year that this year is a year that I want every expatriate, every non-Nigerian who is in our territory, if we want to know where he is, I want an officer to identify him. If he overstay for 1 day or 2 days, I want an officer to knock at his door and get him out of the country. And it's our duty this year to make sure every person who enters our territory does not change the intention of his entrance. If you enter to be a miner, do the mining. If you are given permit to be an engineer, do the engineering. We should not find you doing something differently. This will help protect Nigerian labor. This will help protect Nigerian economy. This will help protect Nigerian security. That is what I want to achieve by the end of 2021.
Personally, you've served, as you pointed out at the beginning, in various capacities within the Immigration Service before you became its leader. When eventually you stepped down?
I was supposed to step down in September last year, but Mr. President gave me a 1 year again, September 2021. As soon as it's 21, it's time to go. I'm happy that I feel fulfilled, that I have contributed a lot. But my prayer is that there should be somebody better than Babandede. We are building capacity.
What would you go and do when you step down? What do you have in mind?
Who knows what I'll do, but I know very well I would like to serve humanity. That's my commitment. To be honest with me, there is nothing I like than to build people. I would like to see changes of attitude, building humanity, capacity of people to contribute to their society. I'm really worried that a country with a population of over 200 million, we still depend on the West for food. We depend on the West for technology. We depend on the West to change our tune. I want to change the character of the youth. Let them look into their country rather than to look elsewhere. This country is great. I've seen a lot of bad news in social media. I really want to contribute people to see this country as something they are very proud of and to work for it until the end of their lives.
CJ, I thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Newsnight. Thanks for joining us. We value your feedback, and you can get in touch with your comments on any of the social media handles on your screen. I am Ladi Akeredoluale.